Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
I will say, even though that I know they will always end disappointingly, I do still enjoy the viral, oh, it's happening like moments whenever like something weird happens in the Trump sphere, that we can all pretend that everything we wish for is coming true. We had another one of those this past weekend when when Air Force One had to turn around suddenly over the Atlantic Ocean to make a return trip. We're just like, what could it be? Could it be? And I mean, it was just an electrical issue on the plane that they had to fix. But it's fun to dream. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to dream. It's fun to hope. And it's fun because one of these days, the slot machine will come up with all sevens, and it'll be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel like it's going to happen. We're all going to wake up to the news, right? Like it's going to happen in the middle of the night.
That will be, I mean, while I do enjoy waking up to great news, it's a fantastic way to start the day. I kind of do like discovering it, like just picking up your phone and seeing.
Oh, like midday.
Yeah.
Like news. Yeah. What'll be interesting when it happens, is watching for the very subtle looks in people's faces as they're reporting it, right? Like, like the stone cold professionals who are just like, the president has died, and you're just like, come on, let me see that micro expression. Like, there it is. You were happy about it. I fucking knew it. I won't have any micro expressions. They will be mad. And by expressions, I mean vocalizations of joy. So I know some people thought that this was a bad week. I am not one of them. I thought this was scary, harrowing, right? Like, I understand that. Ultimately, I'm coming out on the side of good. You know why? Because we learned something, an important lesson. And sometimes learning lessons is more important than the events that got you there that were horrifying. You learn how to beat him. That's it. Like,
to be fair, the playbook's been there.
But a lot of people have not learned this lesson.
Well, correct. Yes, a lot of people have not learned the lesson that they need to learn.
Right.
And
but I think we've learned how to beat him. And more importantly, Europe has learned how to beat him. And big leaders of the world knowing how to beat him, who are on the side of like being reasonable and good, I think that is the most important takeaway from this week. But besides, of course he caved. Okay, like, of course. But in order to beat a bully, all you got to do, turn the clock back, right? Travel back in time. By the way, Candace Owens thinks that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler. Perhaps we can talk to him. She legitimately said that because she's a fucking idiot. Turn the clock back to the greatest decade in American history. Obviously, I'm speaking of the 1980s. Every fucking teen movie taught you the same lesson. Whenever there is a bully, you do not acquiesce. You do not give your lunch money. You push back, and you push back hard. And when you push back hard, eventually that bully is shown to be either weaker than you or a coward outright. Donald Trump is a coward. Donald Trump is a big talking guy. He blusters. He's got the attack, Roy Cohn fucking mentality. But when Europe was like, we're not fucking budging on this shit, Canada leaked or released that they have literally like plans on how to deal with an invasion of Canada. Like, they're not fucking around. All of that, like the financial aspects of like what they pushed out. Then the markets tumbled, right? The S&P dropped, lost as much money as it had made all year, its value in one day. It dropped. And all of a sudden, did I say I wanted to go into Greenland? I would never. Me? Donald Trump? Get out. Nah. That's how you beat him. You push him on the finances until you basically push him to brinksmanship, and he'll fold. Because the one person or people that he cares about is the rich. That's what he has ultimately ever cared about. He doesn't give a fuck about poor people. He doesn't care if it hurts, regular American citizens. He doesn't care if you got food on your plate. He doesn't give a shit about that. He cares when those rich people start calling him and like, bro, what the fuck is going on over there? That's when he cares. So you know how to beat him now. Put any idea he comes up with, figure out the financial angle to that shit, because there always is one. Find the financial angle to that shit and fuck him up. That's it. That's it. So I think a good lesson.
And like I said, the funny thing is that he keeps, because we've now seen the playbook for a year, we've seen kind of how this goes, and because he doesn't have any new fucking tricks, he's blown the tariff wad as much as he can, to the point where like if he's gonna use that as a cudgel, countries kind of know what to do now. Like just last week, Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, was hanging out in China with Xi Jinping, being like, "Hey, let's strike some deals, let's do some stuff here." And they asked him we're gonna loosen some restrictions we had with you guys. Like, you guys will work with us a little bit more, and let's get some stuff going. And Trump has, in a year, successfully negotiated them into the arms of our greatest economic adversary.
Right.
Bravo. Great. What fantastic deal making, you fucking idiot. So Trump goes to Europe, he threatens Europe, and he's like, I'm going to levy, what did he say? Like 35% tariffs or whatever the fuck it was, on February 1st. And they were like, "Oh, cool. This trade agreement that we've been working on, we're just gonna rip that up."
Yep.
As a matter of fact. And then, like I said, that's what caused the stock market to tank, and that's where he all of a sudden doubled back and made sure to let people know. He's like, "Well, we could take it by force, but I'm not. I was never going to do that. I was never going to take it by force. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's a ridiculous suggestion."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I to add a little bit more detail to that, I don't necessarily think it was just Europe coming out and saying, "Hey, we're going to rip up that trade deal," which that was a big deal. Don't get me wrong. There's two other things here too. The EU was reportedly preparing to impose $93 billion in tariffs on U.S. products, and considering restricting U.S. companies from its market. That is the fucking bazooka, because it's what, 500 million people live in Europe, and you're just like, hey, no American companies. Every company was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Turn it off. Turn it off. Whatever you're doing, turn that shit off. And that is exactly how you play it. And by the way, the $93 billion in tariffs, that actually hurts Europeans, right? Like it ultimately does. But that's how hardball they're willing to play. Like, look, I feel like most European citizens are like, let's just play fucking hardball. Like, fuck this shit, right? Like, but closing their markets to American products. Do you think Walmart wants that shit? Or I don't know if they have Target over there. But like car companies, all of these things that they just suddenly, food companies, they just suddenly lose $500 million or 500 million people in a market. That's insane. That would be like telling Europe, like, hey, you can't buy any products from China. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, all the shit that they sell or buy, like, that's insane. So they said that was kind of like Europe's nuclear option, like non-nuclear option, right? And I have to imagine that also helped let the markets tumble. Good. This is what you should do. Stop appeasing them and appeasing Trump and being like, well, let's see if we can find. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. And by the way, what's the Prime Minister of Canada? What's his name?
Mark Carney.
Mark Carney. That speech he delivered was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Basically telling the rest of the world, like, hey, it's time to stop relying on the US, basically. Like we can find another way forward. Which is fucking pretty fucking damaging for us. And this will go beyond him, by the way, because like I said, not 100%. Like if people think, oh, like once Trump's gone, like everything will get back to normal. I don't think so, man, because we fucked up twice now. Like we fucked up the first time. Everyone kind of made it through okay. We realized we fucked up. We're like, all right, let's put some nice series back in there, and things got back to normal. And then we fucked up again, and this time we fucked up real bad. And so, like the rest of the world cannot live in a state where they're one bad US election away from chaos ensuing. And it upends their entire shit. So yeah, like even when Trump goes eventually, regardless of who comes in after him, whether it's a Democrat or another Republican, this is going to change things significantly in terms of like our stature in the world, the way and the level to which people are willing to partner with us, and not just economically, like from a military standpoint, from an intelligence sharing standpoint, like all of these things are going to be it's going to change. And some people, there's some people that are probably pretty happy about that. They're like, good, the US doesn't need to be involved in that shit anyway. But I gotta tell you, like, when you get to be kind of the guiding light on sort of how things work in the world, that's a good place to be. Like, you can argue that like we shouldn't be out there as much, but at the same time, we're also the biggest fucking fish in the pot. So like, yeah, we kind of should be out there as much as we can for the right reasons. Obviously, like, doesn't mean we go, barnstorming and fucking bombing places like we have been in the Middle East for, the last several decades. But, that's why it's important to have services like USAID and things of that nature as well. Right. But like I said, that stuff's gonna now has to be rebuilt from the ground up if it's even something that is going to come back. So, okay.
His speech, I mean, everything you said, I 100% agree with you. His speech was super fascinating because, yes, it is, hey, we cannot rely on the United States going forward, right? Like, there's that aspect. That's a very obvious one. The other aspect of it is, I forget the exact phrasing that he used, but it was like, basically, we have benefited from being kind of under the skirt of the United States, right? Like, we've been kind of like, we've been America's hat for all these years. And so we have benefited from this world power. But, and we call ourselves kind of a sovereign nation, but is sovereignty really, or it's like servitude dressed up as sovereignty, right? Like, you're not really an independent nation. So yes, they are moving away from relying on the United States, which is huge, but he's also signaling to the rest of the world, we shouldn't be relying on any fucking superpowers like this. And we should not put ourselves in this situation again. Because the obvious logic is they'll leave the US, they'll run to be under the skirt of China, and then things continue normally for everyone else, right? And we're stuck in some sort of weird situation. But I think it's a signal to all of Europe and to maybe even the Middle East too. Stop putting yourselves under the thumb of these big countries and then just hoping they'll be kind to you. You've got the European Union, right? You've got this big swath of independent countries, but they have buying power, they have all of this stuff because they've come together. Maybe that is more the future of these like bigger coalitions of things. I mean, there was a long talk about like a North American union, right? But at this point, please don't talk about that. Like that feels like a bad idea, right? Trump's like,
honestly, I don't think the U.S. would sign on for that even in the best of times. Honestly,
no,
because we don't need it. Like, it would be beneficial to Canada and Mexico more than it would be to us, I feel.
Right, so. But it would also pull our power down, and we would have to be co-equals, which we don't want to be. So, I think it's a signal to much of the world to say we need to stop being under the thumb of I mean, not Russia, but for the countries that are right around Russia, like maybe even be militarily scared of them, Russia, China, and the US. So I'm very interested to see how that goes over the next number of years. Look, I think that the world should be set up more in we're all independent countries and we got to deal with each other, how we deal with each other. But one is not just like globally smashing these other small countries because they can. Now, there's size and resources differences. I recognize that. That's just reality. But out of the post-World War II scenario, America had a level of influence that was just kind of based on firepower, basically. Like, we're super fucking
Oh,
big.
but
And we
economic power as well. I mean, the Marshall Plan is
Sure.
a huge reason why we
Sure.
kind of had a lot of sway. So
Sure. No, but no doubt about that. But what I'm saying is, even if you go sort of post Marshall Plan, because we built up our military so incredibly fast and so efficiently, we were just like, hey man, we're the big dogs. And then we started policing around the world, right? Which also kind of put on that position of like, don't fuck around or we'll come over there too. And everyone's like, in Canada's like, well, just go under your skirt. Is that cool? So I think there needs to be a resetting of this. And this resetting of the sort of the world order, as some people are calling it, that also benefits the United States too. We don't need to be overextending ourselves into every little bit of conflict and everything all over the world. We simply can't do it. We just can't do it. Like, do we have the financial resources? Probably. But you can't run a country when you're constantly creating enemies and kind of shitting on your friends, and your friends are pretending to ignore the terrible things that you're doing. Like, you don't have any ability to kind of pivot. A smaller country, or a country that is not such a hegemon, would never have to say to Israel, hey man, what you're doing is totally cool. If the US wasn't in that same position, it could just go, I don't support that shit, and fucking turn and just be like, no, we're not giving you money and shit. Like, fuck that, and go do something else. But we are stuck in this position of being the biggest dogs in the yard, that we either have to go in and beat people up, or we got to like give money to help people beat people up. Like, it's just no. And I'm not saying this in like a nativist kind of like close the United States off to people, but maybe like close the door 20%, right? You know what I mean? Like, we just, at this point, we want to be involved in every international incident, and I think that's a terrible idea. I just do.
The problem is that the international incident, like even if let's say this were to happen, and especially like Europe kind of really starts to stand on their own as a collective force, and Canada even sidles up kind of alongside them, become like an unofficial like EU, like partner of sorts. The problem is that we still won't pull ourselves out of the stuff that we need to pull ourselves out of the most, like, because the Middle East is still going to be a powder keg all the time. And because of the resources that are over there, and because we still have people that are very misguided in terms of desiring those resources in a world that's quickly, able to move away from those resources, we're still going to poke our nose in all the time. Just because, we want the oil, and also like, we really like Israel still, despite the fact that, they basically have a fascist government right now as well. So,
yeah, it's interesting. It's a very interesting situation. I think it's going to do a lot of damage to the United States, but if it's played right by future leaders, I think it can actually benefit the United States to not have to be this global. I mean, we're going to be a global power for a long time, unless Trump really super fucks things up in the next 3 years. Possible. But I think pulling back a bit might actually, like, pulling back a bit from the world stage. Again, I'm not saying like completely, cut ourselves off and just be like, we're not, don't look at us, we're just doing our thing over here. I'm not saying that, but pull back 20%, 25%, shit, probably 50% if we're being honest. Pull back a little bit. Take that money and resources that you've been pushing, because you've already killed USIT, so you got a little bit of extra cash on hand. Maybe start focusing on building your country up instead of smashing other countries.
Well, and I was going to mention this as well. Here's the other reason that I'd be incredibly cynical that pulling back militarily, especially, would be beneficial, is that budget's never going down, right? Like the military budget, as we've seen, only escalates, and once it gets to a certain point, even democratic, presidencies and administrations and Congresses, even though they would want to, can't scale it back, because for whatever reason they would get like the messaging would be terrible behind, like, oh, you're taking money away from the troops and this and the other thing, even though really what you'd be taking money away from is like private like defense contractors and stuff like that, which you should take money away from. But the problem is that the budget isn't going down. So if you're going to be spending $1 trillion to $1.25 trillion a year, every year on your military anyway, you have the hammer and nail problem where you're carrying around the biggest fucking hammer. Right. And so everything's you can't just sit there and waste that money. Like you're like, we're paying for this shit. Like we better fucking use it. So then, every problem looks like a nail. So you're still going to go out there. It would be fucking amazing if we could take $500 billion from the military budget, which we could easily afford to do. Take $500 billion, cut that from military budget, reallocate that elsewhere throughout the American government. Can you imagine how many things that the U.S. could fund, how many programs, how much relief the U.S. could provide in terms of like when you're talking about paying for things like childcare and expanding Medicare, Medicaid access and stuff like that. That's stuff that's easily done if you take the money from one pot, allocate it to this other pot, and that also becomes helpful from a U.S. standpoint as well, because when you're investing the money domestically, that's going to cycle back around. It's going to help people stand up a little bit. It's going to increase their buying power. People buy more. The country produces more GDP. Like that's a positive economic cycle, but it's never going to happen because again, we're too afraid to cut our military budget because here's the thing. Never say never. Do I think it is highly unlikely? Absolutely. 100%. But I don't know where we are financially at the end of this, right? We never thought that we would do all of this shit that FDR was able to do because the situation got so dire that they were like, we got to do something, right? Well, Jay, it takes, as we heard from JD Vance today, it takes time to turn the Titanic around. So
that was a terrible analogy.
Referencing the U.S. economy. Why is it better? Well, it takes time to turn Titanic. Well, thank God nothing bad happened to the Titanic. Famously, a ship that had a fantastic journey and landed back at port, no problem.
Yeah, it was that super boring movie where nothing happens in the end. He paints the girl like she was a French girl, and it ends. It's like, it's a love story. Like that's it. No one falls and hits the propeller on the ship. Amazing. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens over the next couple of years with this. But I think you're right. I think the global order and how Europe deals with us, no matter what the president is, or what party the president is from, is fundamentally changed. It just is. Mm-hmm. I think Canada is fundamentally changed. I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. Like I remember post 8 years of Bush, or in those last couple of years of Bush, the rest of the world was like, fuck America. These guys suck. They're the goddamn worst. People were pretending to be Canadian when they went overseas so they don't get yelled at and, all this terrible shit, right? Barack Obama gets elected. People are like, America's back. Like immediately, right? Like the rest of the world was like, dude, finally, Jesus Christ. Like you guys, like that was crazy. Like, come on back in, guys. Like, I know it feels like it's impossible to imagine that happening. And I don't have this sense of like, everyone loves America because America's the best. I don't have that like American exceptionalism nonsense. So my brain works fine. But I do feel like people like an underdog story. And if you've had garbage for 8 years, and this is hot garbage compared to even the George W. Bush years, I feel like they're going to, like, if you just get somebody who's even remotely like charismatic, I think the world's gonna be like, we're still mad at you, but we're not as mad.
I think at this point it would take like three elections of us not shitting the bed.
I agree with
to get
like,
back to where we were.
Yeah, but I do think there's going to be a part of like because Joe Biden wasn't charismatic enough to kind of pull that in, where Obama definitely was, where people were like, oh shit, not only like a better person, like a black dude, like that's cool, like holy shit, we didn't think that would happen, right? So yeah, I think it'll be difficult, but I do agree with you. If America got like 1, 2, 3 presidents, even if one was a Republican, but like not a piece of shit, right?
I'm not saying it has to be a Democrat. I'm just saying it has to be a sane person.
Yeah, just not crazy. And by the way, on top of this, prosecuting the pieces of shit that are acting in the worst ways now.
Well,
Like you
wouldn't
prosecute
that be
those
nice?
people. Yeah,
Wouldn't
you
that be nice?
prosecute
Yeah.
those people or enough of them, the ones that aren't already fucking dead. By the time you get to that, if you prosecute them and then you get like 2-3 presidents, probably 3, if we're being honest, in a row that are either very liberally minded, or at least just reasonable people. Yeah, I think people go, all right, like we're not going back to the old days, but like we're not mad at you guys anymore. That was fucking crazy, right? Like but I do think there is going to come a time where people in our lifetime are going to be like, all right, we like y'all recognize the fuck up. The only way that happens, though, is you have to prosecute people. Like, you really got to go after these guys. It can't be any mealy-mouthed bullshit. And you can't just come into office and pretend like nothing happened. Like, we're just moving forward. No. Turn your eyes back to the positions of shit.
That's the American way, though.
Yeah,
the American way is to look forward and to make sure you don't fix anything, so that eventually it can cycle back around and happen again.
Kick you right in the teeth. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. All right, let's talk about news you need. ICE says that it can violate your Fourth Amendment rights. No. That's what I said. What the fuck? The fuck are we talking about? So in a memo that was supposed to go to like sort of upper echelon people in Department of Homeland Security, this internal memo basically said the right of the people, like basically agents are allowed to just bust into people's fucking houses without a warrant. Not the thing the Constitution says at all.
No.
To quote the Constitution, that fucking stupid ass document that no one's reading these days, the right of the people to be secured in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against an unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So I'm going to need a warrant for my specific house and the people in it in order for you to come in. That is not what ICE is doing. ICE is literally just seeing people at gas stations and being like, brown enough, that person has an accent, let's get them. Like, that's it.
Got to tell you, when the inevitable happens, if they do really start doing this hardcore, I look forward to seeing all of a sudden Republicans flip right around on their stance on the Castle Doctrine, which they vehemently seem to support a lot. But as with everything else, it's only supporting white people's ability to invoke these things to happen. So
conservative white people, conservative.
Yes,
white
that's it.
Yeah,
that too. That's right. Because there's a lot of liberals arming themselves now, and conservatives don't like that at all. I'll tell you. So.
No, but
a lot of black people with guns out on the streets all of a sudden.
Yeah, man.
Just like,
yeah, Black Panthers
don't
are
care
like
for that. Yeah,
Black Panthers are like out there, man. They are making a lot of statements. I'm like, brought this on yourself. You brought it on yourself. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You cannot violate people.
You know, I've got a bone to pick. I've got a bone to pick with the Black Panthers. Like, what took you so long? Here we've been having this fucking gun debate in this country for the last several decades. You ran this playbook once, it worked back in the 1960s. What took you so long to get here again? You could have had this shit all sewn up for us.
Yeah, well, it's not black people's responsibility to save white people as much
That's fair.
As much as white people love to help us. We tried. We went to vote. Where were you?
Yeah, but I mean, even a white liberal with a gun's not going to scare anybody, Jay. Like, that's just like if I go out there with an assault rifle, they'd be like, of course.
He's one of us. Like, look at his beard. Get out of here. Come on. Here's a nice vest. Join us. I mean, look, I'll be quite honest. They want one of these guys to get killed. They do.
Of course they do. Yes, because that'll give them the pretense they need to really start.
Yep.
Just
you would never
going out of pocket.
Right. You would never tell federal agents to just break into people's houses without a warrant knowing that this country has more guns than it does people, okay? Like, quite literally, that's insane. By the way, what are you mad at them for? You break into my house, I have every right to put you down.
Yeah. I've been told by Republicans that this is the way. So
this is ultimate freedom. Now, like you said, when the inevitable comes, and it will. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come from some liberal person. They just knocking down doors, bro. You think everyone in Minneapolis is conservative or is liberal? No. You're gonna knock the door down of some conservative dude, and he's gonna be like, the fuck? And he's gonna start shooting. Right? Or a liberal dude. But this idea that you're only gonna torture liberals because they're the only people who live in Minneapolis, that's simply not true. It's not true. So obviously, I think the Supreme Court or some court should be involved in this because it's insane. Meanwhile, JD Vance is like, they have absolute immunity. And then today in a press conference, he's like, I never said that. And then it's like, here's like 4 times.
Yeah, here's the videotape. So.
Like, bro, we have the internet. Yeah. Then, Stephen Miller came out and, his bullshit of like, the ICE agents have absolute immunity. I don't know, man. Knocking down people's front doors and just rushing into their houses feels like a recipe for disaster. And look, I don't want to see these people get killed either. I don't. I want them to get the fuck out of Minneapolis, and I want them to stop doing what they're doing. But I don't want to see somebody get shot for this dumb shit. Like, it's stupid. If you're one of these guys, you got to know, and you got to understand. It's like it's like the King of the Hill meme. If they could read, they'd be really upset. But you got to understand that they are putting your life on the line on purpose. They're not asking you to kick down doors because they think that that's the most effective thing. They're wanting you to kick down doors so some of you get hurt. That's what they're banking on. They're banking on it, man. And you got to understand that if they are willing to put your life on the line over this, why do you think they give a fuck about you? Why do you believe that? Like, they don't tell FBI and CIA agents to just kick in fucking doors, or FBI agents to just kick in doors without warrants. They don't do that for them. They don't do it for cops.
And by the way, like, when they do kick in doors, when they do have a warrant, they're not sending in like regular people just wearing a bulletproof vest with a fucking handgun. They're sending in the fucking SWAT team first because like that's what you fucking need. So like, and last I checked, I mean, for now, like, we'll wait to see what happens next week. They're not decking these ICE agents out in fucking riot gear and shit like that. So
no. But look, here's the thing: even if they are wearing, bulletproof vests, how much is that helping you when somebody's got an AR-15 at close range? You know what I mean? Like, you're at least getting knocked down, and then someone can put a bullet in your head. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're positioning yourself in a situation. And again, I'm not advocating for any of that to happen, but you are positioning yourself in the worst possible way. You're walking blindly into people's homes without like probable cause. Dude, they want you to get hurt. I don't understand how anybody doesn't see the connection, the 1-to-2 connection.
And the other problem is, like, obviously the administration is having them ramp up. They're having them escalate because they are trying to break the people, but the people are not going to stand down. Like if this shit really does start kicking off, you're going to see people defend themselves. And if the inevitable happens, and if ICE really starts just getting fucking trigger happy, it's not like we the people are going to just be submissive to you. Sorry, like, it's not going to fucking happen.
No. Well, once you cross that line into shooting people and killing them, I mean, it already obviously happened with Renee Good. But once you're like breaking into homes and shit like that and doing that, you can't unring that bell, dude. You can't. And then that is yes, it is pretext for the government to start trying to crack down, Insurrection Act and all this other stuff, but it's also pretext for citizens who've had a fucking enough. Because, yeah, you may want to call in, you may want to do the Insurrection Act so you pull those ICE agents the fuck out of there. Because I can guarantee you, if you leave them there, more of them will get killed. You better put the military there where people go, all right, I got no beef with you guys, right? Type of shit. But once you cross that line, it is a scary situation because people stop thinking. They just react.
Mhm.
I see you in uniform, you're my enemy. That's it. You don't want that shit. You don't want it. So if you are an ICE agent and you're listening to the show, wild, by the way, super crazy for you to be listening to this, but you got to understand that you are being set up to fail. They want one of you to get hurt. Multiple people to get hurt. They want you to be shot. They want you to be maimed so that they can throw your fucking image up on a screen, with, in the arms of an angel, fucking Sarah McLachlan playing in the background, so they can use that for sympathy and then send military personnel in and murder people. That's what they want, and to crack down hard on people. Do not stay in this shit. Leave. That $50,000 bonus, you ain't getting that money. You kidding? You're not getting that money. We talked about that. It's a fucking loan. You're not getting the money. And you got to stay in for 5 years. By the way, if you don't stay in for 5 years, you have to pay back the amount, which is crazy, by the way. That's nuts. Not that you don't get the money, but you're just stuck. Like, what? That's not fair. So, don't do
well,
that.
I mean, and not only this, but like, now we see a story this week that they're literally kidnapping children to use them as bait to get, people to come out of houses and stuff like that. So that, the story of this 5-year-old boy who was taken, and they basically used him as bait so that he would knock on the door and like ask to be let in so the ICE people could see if there's anybody else home. And then they detained both the kid and the father. The kid was apparently in custody for like 24 hours. Like no one else in the family like knew where he was. That kind of shit. Fucking 5-year-old, man.
I know.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, normally people would respond with this is not who we are. And I would argue this is exactly who we are. This is exactly who we are.
I mean, I will say shit like this is even getting like the fucking right-wing normies to like we're seeing more of them kind of stand up and take notice of this stuff every day and kind of realize like, oh, this is what's being done in my name now. Like, oh shit, like this is real bad. Obviously not enough of them and not enough of them are being loud enough to affect change. But I mean, again, like ICE has crossed a line well past what society is willing to tolerate, and society is willing to tolerate a lot when it comes to law enforcement. They're like you really have to go above and beyond in terms of depravity to get society at large to turn against the cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
even if you're fake cops, like in this instance,
right. So. I mean, here's the thing. I'm really not particularly interested in the idea of like, hey, this is wrong about kidnapping children and stuff like that. And not that I'm not obviously sympathetic to it. Like I am. I don't mean it to sound like that. I'm not interested in hearing it from Americans, to be honest, because this is what we do around the world to people. Yeah, we're just now seeing it at home.
Yeah, but they're over there, Jay. Like we don't have the burden of having to think about
to look at
the reality of those situations, right?
But like, we all are suffering as Americans. We're all suffering from this, and I wouldn't even say all of us. Like, I think the sort of liberally minded people were like, "Yeah, this is bad. We told you it was bad. We also acknowledge that this shit is bad when it happens overseas in our name." But conservatives being like, They're taking kids. Do you not remember family separation in his first term? Mm-hmm. That there were kids that they still never found their fucking parents? You don't remember that? Or how some of those kids were just being adopted by fucking American families and just stolen from their parents? Yeah, people not remember that? That wasn't a million years ago, guys. That was like 4.
No, people don't. I mean, that was too far. It was too far away. Too far back.
6 years ago, right? Like
6 years ago. It's too far. It's too long ago.
But we have done these things around the world. We have separated families. We have destroyed families. We are paying for people to bomb the shit out of Gaza right now, destroying families. Kids wake up one day with their parents. They go to sleep that night without their parents, or vice versa, without their kids. So I understand the idea of being upset and seeing this. I'm upset and seeing it. It's watching a 5-year-old. The kid's pretty much my daughter's age, right? It's fucking horrifying to imagine a kid. I don't give a fuck what language they speak. I don't care where their parents are from. It's irrelevant. It's horrifying. But if this bothers you, not you, Brad, but if this general you bothers you, ask yourself why it doesn't bother you that they're killing kids in fucking Gaza, or that they killed a bunch of kids or their parents and separated those families in Iraq. Ask yourself for 20 years the amount of fucking families that were destroyed and displaced in those parts of the world.
I will say there is one major difference in this case, and you can argue that this is a distinction without a difference in that, and I'll hear that argument. But when we are doing bombing campaigns and stuff like that overseas, and when we're giving money to Israel to destroy Gaza and kill Palestinians, right, there is a certain that's not what we're setting out to do, but there's collateral damage, or hey, we can't control what Israel does, but we don't want them to be hurt or something like that. So there's a level of separation from it, not just because it's halfway around the world, but also because that's not truly the intent of those things. Mm-hmm. But there's an intentionality to what ICE is doing right now. It's not like they're accidentally picking kids up off the street and arresting them and taking them in. They're absolutely doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
They're absolutely targeting children. They're absolutely targeting people who, again, it doesn't matter, are you a citizen or not? Do you have your papers or not? You look foreign, so we are going to arrest you. We are going to antagonize you. We are going to abuse you. We're going to assault you. All that stuff. And they're doing, and it's very intentional the way that they're doing it, in a way that what we do overseas, again, those results happen? 100%. But it's not like a fucking pilot piloting a drone bomber is there's a kid, let's fucking blow that kid up. No, there's the terrorist, kill the terrorist. Oh shit.
Right,
we also,
right, of course. And I would say that's largely true. But we know from reports in Gaza that literally Israeli Defense Force were doing sniper target practice on children on purpose. Mm-hmm. We know that. So I agree with you. The vast majority of the time, it is sadly collateral damage. But what's happening in Gaza is not collateral damage. They're quite literally targeting children. So again, that's heinous behavior. It's heinous behavior. I understand in a war, it doesn't make it better, quote unquote, but I understand in a war people get hurt. But to target children is a different level of psychotic behavior to me that you deserve to be brought up on fucking Nuremberg style charges. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So I need people to be upset about this, but I need them to carry that anger.
I would say you need people to stay upset about it.
Yeah, and you need to realize that when we get through all of this, we need to change how we are positioned on the world stage. We do. Hey man, Israel's doing this thing. Cool, bro. We're not fucking involved. And it's not because we're anti-Semitic or because, whatever other reason. We're not cool with what the fuck you're up to. That's it. But we're upset and AIPAC is here and blah. I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of my office. I'm not cool with what you're doing. And then just stay away from these people. Condemn it. Condemn it. Even if it's people you don't want to doing it to. Condemn it. Because it's wrong.
And by the way, this is going to start, people listening to this podcast, by and large, imagine most of you, the vast majority of you probably liberal. It's going to start on our own side. Just today, yeah. I think 6 House Democrats voted with Republicans to pass their defense budget, which includes continuing these levels of funding for ICE while all this is going on. Right. If those people don't get a fucking automatic primary, this spring, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Okay, agreed. I also think that you're not going to get a decrease in ICE funding before you control the government. You're just simply not. You're never going to get Republicans to concede it. You're just not going to, right? I think the bigger issue here, and it sucks because again, I talk about this all the time. There's reality and there's political reality. The reality is, fuck ICE. I don't want to support any of that shit, right? If I'm in Congress, I'm like, I ain't signing on to it. Oh, look, those idiots signed on to it? Great, whatever. Let that be them. I'm not dumb enough to do that. But the political reality is the last thing Democrats should want to do right now is a government shutdown. They should. It benefits nothing. It benefits nothing. The last shutdown, even though Democrats lost, it absolutely benefited them ultimately. It did. It was like, look at these idiot Republicans who are in charge of everything. They can't run the government, right? And it benefited. It ultimately did. I don't think the fight on ICE funding needs to happen now. You're never going to convince Republicans to drop the ICE funding. You're just not going to. It is a core of the garbage fucking policies that they have, right? This isn't a thing about the healthcare, like extending healthcare subsidies. You're just never going to get them.
That's
to do
still
it.
out there, by the way.
I know
that's still an open issue.
Going up for a vote, like I don't fucking know a thing to it. So, I think that largely it is. I don't want to say a waste of time because that feels like callous, but it kind of is, right? You're never going to get Republicans to move on this. Like, let's just be honest, right? That's the political reality. It sucks, but it's the political reality. If you play your cards right and you keep people on your fucking side, get through the midterms, hopefully control the House, maybe even the Senate now, because that's now actually like legitimately in play. Then you do what they do. You fucking zero that shit out. You just zero it out. Hey, here's the ICE budget. What ICE budget? We're done here. And you just zero the shit out. That is how you play hardball. I get wanting to fight on it, and I'm not mad about you fighting on it. But you're never going to move them on it. And I know people are going to say
you may not be able to do it, but you can't vote for it. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't do that. I would not vote for it.
But I'm saying what you're saying is don't have the shutdown fight, but you can't have one without the other. Like you can't.
So, but what's okay? In fairness, okay. What do you do then? You have the shutdown fight, and what do you accomplish on it?
I mean, you shut down the government on the same stuff that you did before, where you say, hey, like you need to extend these healthcare subsidies because people need their fucking Medicare, and you don't even have to say zero out the ICE budget. You say you bring the ICE budget down to 2024 levels of where it was when Biden was president. Because you're right, they're never going to say zero, but remember they did just add a fuck ton of money into that budget in last year, and so I think what you can do is you can certainly say, hey, we're going to bring that back down to pre-Trump levels, and I think that's a more. I feel like you have room to move on that a little bit more.
So here's my thing.
Now, but also remember the defense budget lives outside of the main budget as well. Like the vote today was specifically for the defense.
Just for the defense. Yeah, of course.
Right.
So here's my thing. Why do Democrats need to vote for it at all? Make it a Republican.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody does though. Like you can't. They're not gonna be able to just fucking pass this shit without.
Why?
Some help.
Why? They have the majority.
Don't they need 60 votes in the Senate
for the defense budget? I don't think that's true because only 7 Democrats joined them.
In the House, I'm saying this was in the House that this passed.
How many Democrats joined them in the House?
7. That's what I'm saying, or however many it was. 6 today.
So okay, then maybe I'm confused because my thought is you only need a simple majority, right? So like. If you only need a simple majority, why the fuck are Democrats voting for it at all? So yeah, I'll look around to verify the information because I don't know, and I'm okay to say I don't know, but my attitude is doing the shutdown benefits you. It's going to get you exactly bupkis. Like it's it's just not going to not going to help you. By the way, that beep you heard is not it's the air conditioner, you fucking racist. It's not my smoke detector. I don't even have one in here. They don't believe in those laws down here. So yeah, it's I don't know. I'm very interested to see, like, okay, here we go. 7 Democrats just voted to approve approve ICE funding. 7 House Democrats broke with much of their party and voted in favor of the House Immigration bill, blah, blah, blah. The votes, so it passed 220 to 207. Okay, so without that, they would have had 213, right? Like, again, you could have just said, like, I mean, I guess it would have been 213 to 213. Like,
I mean, it doesn't pass at that rate.
Yeah.
Out of the House.
Yeah. Or excuse me, it would have been, actually, I guess it would have been 213 to 214, actually. Right? So then Democrats would have had it. But that's curious. Okay, I see what happened. Thomas Massie voted against it. That's why they needed Democrats to pass it. So it is a simple majority. Then that's their problem. Why are you moving to them? Why are you moving to them? Like, let them figure it out. Let them figure out how to get Thomas Massie back on. That's not your problem. It's not your problem. Like, but again, you benefit nothing by shutting down the government. You just don't benefit from it. You're not going to get funding for ICE changed. You're not. You're going to shut down, and then they're going to be like, well, no more SNAP benefits and shit, right? Because they're going to go straight to that, right? Like, immediately, they're like, oh, that was the thing that made Democrats, show that they have a soul and we don't. So they're going to go straight to starving kids. I'm not saying not to fight. I'm just saying that it's just, I don't know what you're gaining from this. I don't know what you're gaining from it.
I don't know why you think Democrats would be blamed. Again, the party in power takes the blame during a government shutdown.
Yes, that's true. But if you're fighting for the healthcare thing, maybe by the way, maybe that happens without the shutdown. Like, who knows? The Senate seems to be poised to agree to extend them for 2 years. But you're literally not going to get them to move on ICE. Like, I don't care if you say 2024 levels. They're not going to budge on it because this is their signature thing. It is. And the difference between this and healthcare is this is a thing that they want, right? Versus the healthcare thing was something they were like fighting against. They're not fighting for. They're fighting for this. They're not going to budge on it. They don't give a fuck.
I don't know, man. I think you put Republicans in really. If you talk about like, hey, like, we want to reduce ICE funding. You guys like tripled ICE funding. Look what's happening now. Like look at the fact they have people just like on the fucking streets, killing people, kidnapping kids, fucking pepper spraying people, with no cause or anything like that. We're not going to pay for this. And we're willing to shut the government down to get you to stop doing this. And Republicans are like, no, like, we're going to fucking die on this hill. I don't think that's good for them. I think that is, I don't think that goes well for them considering what ICE is doing right now. No,
look, here's the thing. I do not disagree with you. Like, again, this is the reality versus political reality. I agree with all of that. I agree that all of those things are terrible and that is a fight worth having. What I'm saying is, having it right now, I don't know that it benefits you. I just don't know that. And I know that sounds weird, like we're worried about whether it benefits the party. You need that party to take power. You just do. Like, and yes, people will probably blame Republicans, but when the shit goes left, and you saw it happening at the end of the last fight, and this is why the Democrats broke, is people started blaming Democrats. Well, now they don't have food, and they just started blaming Democrats. And you're going to put them right back into position, and they're going to go there first. Republicans will go there first. They're immediately going to be like, no SNAP benefits, fucking the house is out, like the house is gone. Like, they're going to go, they're not going to wait 60 days or 40 days or whatever. They're going to go straight there. They're going to go straight there, and they're immediately going to make those people fucking suffer. And Democrats are going to be forced to brick again, and they're going to look ineffectual. They just will. And look, these people look ineffectual now. Pick your poison. It fucking sucks. It sucks.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I think by not having the fight, you kind of show your base that you're not willing to fight. And
that's a fair argument. I think that's a fair argument.
And again, like right now, you and I talk all the time. Right now, what Democrats want to see, who Democrats want to get behind, are fighters. Yeah. Like you know, and so like you want to have someone that's willing to roll up their sleeves and fucking and duke it out. So I think, and so you lose some credibility, like when you are campaigning and trying to get votes and saying like, hey, like vote for me, and if we Democrats take back the House and Senate, like we can fix this ICE problem. But then like Democrats can point and be like, well, but you just fucking voted for this, like to let this shit go through 4 months ago, like when they were doing all this repugnant shit. Like what changed?
Yeah, look again. I can't.
It's not. I'm not saying it's an easy issue, but I'm just. And there is the argument to make. And again, like it's weird talking about the government shutdown in terms of like from a game theory standpoint.
Exactly.
Obviously, it affects actual people when you do that.
These people starving to death. Like, isn't it hilarious? It's not. Yeah.
Right. But I don't know.
I mean,
like I said, it's.
Again, I do not that's the funny thing is I do not disagree with any of it. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I just don't think shutting the government down, I think you're ultimately going to get kicked in the ass over it. I do. Look, I'm telling you, man, it was great seeing them fight, but I got to tell you, I do not trust Chuck Schumer. I don't trust him. I don't trust him not to do the same thing.
I mean, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like again, like you can't vote to fund these assholes.
Agreed.
With what they're doing right now, you just can't. And as we mentioned last week, abolish ICE is the winning message. Is the winning position right now when you poll. Not just defund ICE, not just limit ICE's authority. Abolish ICE is the opinion of 46% of Americans, and ICE is doing okay is the opinion of 43% of Americans right now.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't think you do poorly arguing on the winning side of an issue.
Yeah, I guess maybe from my perspective, you need a little bit more meat on the bone, right? I guess if you made the argument of we're going to shut down the government until there is an investigation into Renee Good's murder, that could be something that could rally people like quite seriously, right? I just do not think we're rallying on a budget issue, even though it is an issue that people care deeply about and they should.
How about we're shutting it down until ICE gets the fuck out of Minneapolis? How about we?
I like that. But like, it's got to be something. If you're going to rally the troops, it's got to be more than funding for ICE. It's just. I hate to say again, this is very game theory bullshit, but it's like it's not sexy enough. It's just not. And most people are going to be like, "What's ICE's budget? Do they have a budget? I don't fucking know or care, right?" And they're going to turn off. Now, if you say, "Hey, you fucking pieces of shit, you killed Renee Good," there needs to be an investigation, and until there is an investigation. Has started and is underway, we are not going to break on it. Okay. I think it's a good argument. I think that's a valid argument. And look, they're going to fight about it or whatever, but I think it's a valid argument. I just don't think budgetary issues for ICE are doing anything. Most Americans didn't give a fuck to understand about getting their health care bills not to skyrocket. I don't think they give a fuck about what happens to these other people, whether they get paid. I just don't think they give a fuck. They don't. It sucks. Again, it blows. I wish Americans were more invested in the future and the current state of their country, but they aren't. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what the right answer is. But what I do know is 7 of y'all voting for it is a mistake. I just wouldn't have done it. I would have just been like, we're just not going to vote on it and let the chips fall where they may. If that ends up in a shutdown, then it ends up in a shutdown. But I'm not going to vote for it. Like, why did any of you cross the line over that? It was dumb. It made no sense. So, I mean, all of these people are in their seats are like in Texas and shit like that. So they're like, they're scared, right? They're like, oh, please don't get rid of us. I'm like, hey, buddy, hey, dumbass, we got a midterm coming up. Like, there's a wave, there's a wave of foremen. Like, hold the line a little bit and just don't vote for it. But I guess Thomas Massey really fucked the plans up there. It was like, I'm gonna vote against it. And they're like, shit.
As he has been. Like I said, that dude's a fucking moron, but he sure has been doing the Lord's work for the past couple months. So
just get up there and read the fucking names from the Epstein files and stop fucking around.
Yep.
Thomas. Stop fucking around. What are you waiting on? Here's an interesting one. Jack Smith testifies in front of Congress, and basically, let me sum it up by saying, Jack Smith said, "I said what I said." Okay. Here's information from my closed door, report. It said that I thought that the president was guilty as fuck. Here's me saying it out loud. I think the president's guilty as fuck. Now what? It was great. The little blurbs I saw of it were very interesting and, unsurprising. Jack Smith is who we thought Robert Mueller was. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think Robert Mueller had like an old man voice. And that just really kind of fucked him up. Everyone thought it was going to be some like booming, voice from on high. And it was like, well, everyone, I think this is not a very good situation. It was like, who is this old man? Get out of here. There's one part of this that I think is really the most interesting part. Yes, we know his investigation was like, he was like, I had this motherfucker dead to rights. Like given the opportunities, this motherfucker would have been in jail. Like, I'm not playing around. But he says something in this this press conference today, or this testimony today, that is super fucking important. One of the congressmen asked him, a Democrat, said, "Can you see this case being reopened and kind of relitigated, basically?" And his response was, "Well, the judge dismissed it without prejudice," meaning that yes, because they were like, well, do you think and he was like, that's all I'll say about that. Because it was dismissed without prejudice, it means it can absolutely be reopened. Let that be a message to people who go, both sides are the same. If we get back the fucking goddamn power in 2028, I'd be like, Jack, get back to work. Take these people back into fucking court. Because look, even if Trump is dead, cross your fingers. A whole lot of motherfuckers in there who ain't dead. Mm-hmm. And those people can absolutely go to jail. They can absolutely go to jail. So the fact that I didn't realize that it was just without prejudice. Disaster. Like,
because it wasn't dismissed
because of a problem
for a cause. Like, it was dismissed because the DOJ was like, we don't want to prosecute this anymore, and the judge was like,
no, I'm saying disaster for the people involved in said crimes. Like, this is not good. Nobody tell Trump, because just let him ride high, baby. Like, he's good. You don't even worry about it. You about to go meet God soon. You got your Peace Prize. You're good. Because I can tell you, if that motherfucker doesn't pardon anybody from the 2020 election and he kicks off before these 4 years, again, fingers crossed, JD Vance ain't doing that shit. Like, JD Vance is going to be like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I got a new baby. I got a new ottoman on the way. Baby on the way. I don't give a shit about that. I'm trying to help out these oligarchs in the tech market. Like, that's all he cares about. He's not going to give a fuck.
Usha Vance doing work to make sure he doesn't fall into the arms of Erica Kirk.
It looked like he already fell into the arms of Erica Kirk. Those claws in him, boy. Usha Vance is like, so tonight I threw away my IUD. Let's get to work. It's like, oh, Usha. She was like, JD, I took the plastic cover off the couch, so to speak, and let's get to work. Yuck. Judge declines to sign off on charges against Don Lemon. Don Lemon wins again, 2 times in the same week. This is amazing. Good for him. They basically, the federal federal government tried to go after Don Lemon because he had the audacity to be reporting the news when they were attacking a church in Minnesota.
Not attacking, protesting in a church. So basically, there's a demonstration.
No, I'm sorry, attacking the protesters at the church. Yeah, I apologize.
Yes. Well, so there's a demonstration at a church in St. Paul this past weekend because the pastor of the church also is the acting field director of the local ICE office.
Yeah, yikes.
As well.
As you do. Yeah, people none too pleased about that. And so, yeah, they started protesting. And then ICE came around, fucking pepper sprayed people and all sorts of other shit that they do, like the jackbooted thugs they are. And Don Lemon was there interviewing people at the church and, you know, and the protesters and what have you. And they were like, nah, this guy is, I don't know, violating the laws? What laws? And so, yeah, the judge was like, no, I'm not even signing off on this shit. Get out of here. And his, Lemon's lawyer, he basically was like, listen, he has every right. I'm trying to find the quote. Yeah, I don't know where the quote is here, but yeah,
he's a reporter reporting. He has First Amendment right to do that.
Right. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. His attorney, the attorney representing him, Abe Lowell, says the magistrate's reported actions confirm that the nature of Don's First Amendment protected work this weekend in Minnesota as a reporter. It was no different than what he has done for more than 30 years, reporting and covering newsworthy events on the ground and engaging in constitutionally protected activity as a journalist. Yeah. Love him or hate him. That's what Don Lemon does. He's a fucking journalist. Like, he's a real journalist. So yeah, look, I think this is great. I say this is the second win for Don Lemon this week. The first one was when he just he shat on Nicki Minaj for having the audacity to go after him, and he was like, "Yeah, isn't your husband a pedophile? You should probably shut the fuck up." Out and proud, Don Lemon is the best Don Lemon. He's one of the greatest. He's got one of the greatest hero arcs of all time.
He's come a long way from when basically he got side-eyed and fucking mean mugged by Stephanie Rawlings Blake and Larry Hogan on CNN. So,
well, look, his entire trajectory in the public eye changed when he was like, I am a gay black man. And people were just like, oh, that's who you are for real? Cool. So you're not pretending anymore? And he was like, not pretending anymore. And he like grew his hair out for a little while. He had like a little mini afro and shit. And he started like doing hard news. And we were like, I like this guy. Like, this guy's a lot better. Before that, he held up a sign that had the N-word on it on CNN and said, does this word offend you? And black people were like, what the fuck are you doing, Don Lemon? Everyone hates you. But yeah, he's come a long way. So I'm happy to see his trajectory change. It's dope, proving that being yourself is a benefit. Next up, U.S. House approves additional $30 million for Supreme Court security. Why you need it now? You haven't needed it before.
Yeah, maybe stop acting unconstitutionally, and you won't need extra money for security. Just
kind of reminds me of all those Trump appointees who been bunkering themselves in on military bases. Like, better get extra security. Why though? Why do you feel you need to?
By the way, in here today in rulings that haven't actually been ruling, so like the Supreme Court heard the arguments on whether Trump has the legal right to impose the tariffs that he's imposing unilaterally without the approval of Congress, and they've heard many other cases since they've heard those arguments, and they've issued decisions on many of those cases that have happened after they heard the tariff arguments, and they still refuse to issue a decision on the tariff case, which is a pretty good indicator of how they are probably likely to rule in the tariff case, but also them being like, but we don't want to do that right now.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? You think they?
I think they're dragging their feet because he's going to lose, but they're dragging their feet because they don't want to step on whatever he's trying to fucking do right now. So
I think that maybe that security is because when he loses that, the people who are going to
Oh, they'll need it for Republicans that'll all of a sudden start up in threats.
And those people will follow through. Like, let's get real. They will follow through. They will not just be
love this for them, because they won't be going after the liberal members of the court, because you would expect them to rule a certain way anyway. So
yeah, well, I mean, they'll be like, let's hurt them too. Like,
sure.
in for a penny, in for a pound.
But I'm saying most likely the people that would bear the brunt of that the most would be John Roberts, I would imagine. Which again, no one deserves it more.
Yeah.
So
no, that decision should be 9-0. By the way, it should not even be a fucking conversation.
Well, we'll adjust. We'll say a 2026 9-0, which is really a 7-2 with Thomas and Alito on the other side.
Yes, absolutely, sir. We also agree that Congress shouldn't have any powers of the purse, even though that's fundamental to the structure of our government. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Well, and right now, and the Supreme Court also just heard arguments against Trump trying to fire, I believe her name was Lisa Cook, the one of the Fed chairs that they unilaterally fired without cause, and against statute. Try to. And apparently the biggest voice opposing, or from the arguments, that it made it sound like that he didn't like what the government did here, Mr. Unitary Executive himself, Brett Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm. You know why? I have a theory.
Go for it.
The Supreme Court, or conservative parts of the Supreme Court, they don't give a fuck about your rights as people. They don't give do you want to just smash people in the head with billy clubs? That sounds great. That's just what George Washington would have wanted. Great. Don't fuck up the money. Right? Because that's where the pushback is. That's why you're likely to see Trump lose on firing this woman on the Fed chair, or the Fed board, and why he'll likely lose on the tariff thing, because that fucks up the money. And you can run your crazy experiment, political experiment, and you can have your, the fucking, one position to rule them all dictatorship. But don't fuck up the money, because if that money stops flowing, everybody suffers. And they're rich. They not trying to suffer, dude. That's the end of that to me, when it was like, oh, Brett Kavanaugh's against this, I'm like, of course he's against it. But if you get a hold of the Fed and you fuck up the Fed, 31% inflation, like we've seen in Turkey and Argentina, that fucks with Brett Kavanaugh's money too. Like, that fucks with Sam Alito's money. It fucks with all of their money. That's what they don't want you to change. Cracking heads on some random person in Minnesota. They don't give a fuck. Oh, you breaking into people's houses in Minnesota? Sounds great. What even is the Fourth Amendment? Who cares? It doesn't apply to blue states. Whatever carve out we need to do. Who cares? But don't fuck the money up. Yeah. So they care far more about fucking the money up. So I was not surprised when I saw that. Like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea. I bet you don't think it's a good idea. It's like, I looked at my portfolio. I don't think this is a good idea. Yeah, that makes sense. But again, you can see how to beat these people. They're all motivated by the single issue of money. They always are. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.